all so much for inviting me here today. And Ben, I've decided that I want your job. It's a lot more fun and a lot more energetic than actually what I've been doing. Ben did note that I am a board member for the Kentucky YMCA, and I have been, I think, for 10 or 15 years. I don't know. It goes way back. It is one of only 2 boards that I am on personally. The Secretary of Finance for the Commonwealth of Kentucky is statutorily on about 40 different boards, and they're all very interesting, but because of my family and my career, I decided that I would very much prioritize the things that I was going to do in my personal life, and that they would be related either to some personal belief or something to do with my family. And this organization actually hits both of those requirements because it's something I believe in, which is civic participation and public service. And it is about young people, and I have 4 children. I have 3 daughters and a son, and they have participated, just like you all are, in some of the programs of this group through a multitude of schools. I actually live in Louisville, and so my children went respectively to Ballard, Trinity, Sacred Heart, and Manual, and all 4 of them had something to do with this organization. So I didn't. I missed out on that opportunity when I was in middle school and high school, and I regret it after I hear about how wonderful it is and how it changes people. So I, along with Ben, also likewise encourage you to make sure that you make the most of this experience, getting to know somebody that you don't already know. It is so comfortable, right, to go into a big group of people and to stay with who you are, who you're familiar with. But I would encourage you to do your best not to do that, because I can also guarantee you that because the Commonwealth is as small as it is, you will run into these people again. And you will reminisce about these next 3 days, and it will be something that binds you forever. And again, I don't know that because it happened to me through this organization, but when I go to board meetings, I can tell. People are like, oh my gosh, you remember the year that we did this or that we did that. So, I'm supposed to be an example for you all for what is in Frankfort and what you might be able to do if you decide to get into public service. And I'm honored to do that. So I will tell you my story. It is a short story, and it is only my story because everyone comes to public service through different channels. But I want to say before I start talking that if any of you are interested in following up with me to find out more about my story because somehow it resonates with you or you're interested in one aspect of it, I would be happy to sit down with you and have coffee or talk to you on the phone or through emails or whatever, and all you would need to do is let Ben know that you're interested in that.
Can we give you a round of applause for that? That's awesome.
Absolutely. Maybe because I have 4 kids, and they are in ages now from 19 to 26. But throughout my career, people have sat down with my children and have let them be interns, and it's been a really great thing. So I've decided to try to do that as much as possible. So I'm a lawyer. I grew up in Frankfort, Kentucky, which hardly anybody does, right? It's usually the place where you go to do politics and you don't stay very long, or you stay as long as you can and then you get voted out. But I am actually from Frankfort, Kentucky. I was born there. My mom used to be a secretary for the governor, and then she was a secretary for the Senate president, and she's worked in constituent services. And my dad has never had anything to do with government, even though he's from Frankfort as well. My dad's a Republican. My mom's a Democrat. They divorced before I was 2. That may have had something to do with it, I don't know. But they're still my family, right? And so I feel like I bring to the Commonwealth of Kentucky a more balanced view than otherwise might be there. Because I grew up in Frankfort, and state government is so big, and Frankfort is a small town, it almost seemed like a company town. And so I wanted more than anything to get out of Frankfort and to go do something else. Went to UK Law School, went to the private sector, worked at several different firms, and I came back into state government because I realized the impact that you can make. It is unbelievable. And I'll give you little snippets of examples of that, but again, just snippets so that you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about in a minute. And it kills me that I'm driving 100 miles a day in order to do it when I actually grew up there because I live in Louisville now. In December, I will retire. I will have had 27 years in state government. I will have worked in 7 different agencies. I will have been general counsel or the very beginning attorney. I'm currently the Secretary of Finance. That's considered the CFO for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I have 2,000 employees. They range from being the people who work in the mansion for the governor, to the people who cut the grass on the Capitol lawn, to the people who go to New York and sell bonds, to the controller, the people who collect your taxes. We have the state fleet and the state mail system. Anyway, it's just awesome. But a couple of things that I've been able to work on just recently, one of them is the Ohio River Bridges Project. I'm the vice chair of that. That has had a lot of really interesting national issues because you're talking about a national system and you're talking about logistics. And one of the reasons that we're so pivotal is because we are within a day's drive of 70% of the country. And so this is considered to be a very important project. It was financed very interestingly with partnership with Indiana, which was very interesting in and of itself. And it's getting ready to open early and for a lot less money than was originally anticipated. And it's also been something that's been like 50 years in the making. So that's the kind of thing that you can work on if you're in state government. I'm going to go to New York the last week of the administration because we just won the Southeast Deal of the Year by Bond Buyer Magazine for a financing that we did for a project called Kentucky Wired, where we are laying over 3,000 miles of fiber optic cable that will go in every single county in Kentucky to help serve government entities there, educational entities there, and we are doubling the project, the fiber that we're laying, so that it can then be used for people to serve homes and businesses much better. So we very much intend to improve the broadband capacity for the Commonwealth within the next 3 years. But we received Southeast Deal of the Year, and we'll find out on December 3rd in New York whether we get actually the Bond Deal of the Year for the entire United States. So those are just a couple of examples of a job that is real, that's in Kentucky, and it is something that you can do if you're interested in the executive branch. One of the questions I was asked was, why should people get involved in the legislative process? And of course, that's what you all are going to be modeling over the next 3 days. And the legislative process is incredibly important because they make all of our laws and they represent all Kentuckians. The implementation of those laws, of course, is what is done in the executive branch, and that's where I've spent my entire time. And I encourage you to get involved in both the legislative and the executive branch because they affect you on a day-to-day basis, right? We see these issues all the time in the newspaper. And it's just very important. And then I was asked to give advice before I leave, because I know that you all need to get started on your program. My advice is I have spent the last 2 weeks working with the inauguration and the transition team for Governor-elect Bevin. So I work right now for Governor Beshear, but we are going through the inauguration on December 8th, and then transition to the new governor at midnight on December 7th. My cabinet is the one that has the budget for those items, and so, and also my office is providing space for the governor's transition team right across the office from me. I believe very much in the orderly transfer of power, and so I'm a Democrat. I did not vote for Governor-elect Bevin, but I believe in the orderly transfer of power. It is incredibly important to the very fabric of our society, and so to that end, I pledge that we would have the best inauguration possible and the best transition possible. And all of my staff is rallying around that. And it has been so professional and so cordial. And I just feel really, really good about it. And so you're kind of catching me at a time when I'm nostalgic to be leaving after so long. But I'm also really proud of the fact that we stand by our values. And I would encourage you to do that as you go forward. You know, you can be for your team, and you can just be as passionate as possible and have all the right reasons for that. But once the decision is made, you know, that person becomes the governor for you, and that is your governor. And I would just encourage you as you go forward to, you know, again, just be as partisan as you want, but when you're talking about governing the entire Commonwealth with all of our diversity, it really does take all of us to do that in a very civil and thoughtful and prudent way. Always presume good intentions. You know, we get ourselves in trouble when we don't presume good intentions. And of course, the golden rule, treat everybody like you would like to be treated, but as I always say, treat them as you would like them to treat your grandmother, right? So kind of go the extra mile. But that's all I wanted to say today. Again, I'm very proud to be here. I am heartened when I look around the room and I see that this is a program that grows and grows and grows. That tells me that people are interested and that you are excited. It also tells me that you're going to vote when you turn 18 in every election that you possibly can. Nothing could be more important than doing that, because government touches everything you do, from your family relationships to your education to your health care, to when you get your license. I mean, just everything possible. And only 30% of Kentuckians eligible to vote voted in this last gubernatorial election, which means about 16% voted for the governor-elect. 16% of Kentuckians voted for that. And I think that's something that I'm preaching to the choir, I know, because you all are engaged. But I think if that's another thing, if you could get your fellow students and your peers to understand how important that is, you would be doing a great service for the Commonwealth. Thank you very much.